Hi, everyone. This is Krista Moore with The Krista Moore Show. I want to welcome you to today's show. And this is a new way to learn from industry experts and thought leaders as they share their growth ideas and their success stories. So I'm thrilled to have a special guest today, and her name is Katie Morrissey with Wistia. Now, as many of you know, video has really taken off as a way to communicate. In fact, look at us on the show. We actually chose video as a means for communicating to you. But she's going to share with us today the top 3 ways to incorporate video into your sales process. So I'm really excited to learn more about that and have her share her expertise with you. So I'd like to welcome Katie Morrissey. Are you there, Katie?
I am. Krista, thank you so much. I'm super excited to be here.
Great to see you. And you are the Senior Account Executive at Wistia, but I'd certainly love you to introduce yourself personally and maybe a little bit of background on why I'm considering you the video expert.
Totally. You're a sales expert, a talk show expert. So again, thank you. But as Krista mentioned, I'm Katie Morrissey. I work at Wistia, which is a video marketing and hosting company. We're based in Boston, Massachusetts. And before Wistia, I was at another marketing SaaS company called HubSpot. I was with them from when they were private to went public, and then realized video is really what's hot right now. So switched over to Wistia and been here for 2 years.
That's great. And I'm going to digress a little bit. So when I first met you, I was really impressed because you sent me an email, and in your signature was a little thumbnail video, and I clicked on it, and I'm listening to you and meeting you and connecting to you in that way. And I thought that was very cool. And then I realized there's a whole world out there of using video for sales and in the sales process. So that's what intrigued me. And I'm glad that you've agreed to be a guest on our show today.
I'm pumped that you invited me.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. So I want to cover, the 3 top ways to incorporate video. But first, let's just talk about where you're seeing video going in terms of in sales or more people using it to connect and communicate.
Sure. Video was really mainstream in marketing for a long time. People have been using YouTube forever. And then it started getting into the sales process because as marketing wanted to align more with sales, they realized that video is going to be a great way to reach out to prospects as well. And if you think about how sales used to be, it was primarily outside sales. Inside sales is relatively new, so it really was human to human for a long time. But as our products got a bit cheaper, it made less sense to go to different parts of the country to sell your product. So inside sales has been great, but it's really taken away from a lot of that human aspect of sales. And sales reps got a very bad rap for being kind of like the Jordan Belforts, the really bad sales stereotype. So video has been great to, number 1, introduce people that, hey, we're salespeople trying to make a living, we're trying to be personal. And number 2, we really want to get to know you. And we really think that it's a great way to make the process, number 1, quicker. And number 2, again, just really more H to H, human to human.
Yeah. So when did you first start using it personally as part of that sales process or making that connection when you're not really going to meet someone in person?
It's a little bit embarrassing, but really when I started working at Wistia, previously when I was on calls like this, I would never share my camera. I was like, oh, my camera's broken, I'm sick. I would make up all these dumb excuses and basically lie, which is ridiculous. And when I first started working here, number 1, I'm at a video company, so I should probably use video. But a lot of my friends were saying, I'm seeing a lot of success sharing my screen. And I wasn't really, as a sales rep, I think we're very hesitant to adopt new tools. So I was like, what's a tool that I use that I know how to basically deal with on a day-to-day? So we use Zoom here at Wistia, but whatever platform you use, I just simply shared my camera, and it allowed me to connect with people better and also pay attention. Before I would be, you do a demo, I don't know, 5 to 7 demos a day. You can get a little bit repetitive. So sometimes you check your email or go on Instagram or something during the demo, which is not a good thing to do at all. So it makes you pay attention more. And also for you, Krista, I could say, hey, it looks like you wrote a book. Can you tell me a little bit about that? You just find clues from where they are, what they're doing. And it's much better than talking about the weather or something that no one really wants to talk about.
Yeah, I like your example of making sure that people are paying attention, because we do a lot of training through GoToWebinar, and I'm often wondering, are they really paying attention to what's being said out there? I also have discovered one-on-one coaching engagements. When I'm coaching a client and I see them eye to eye, there is a significant difference in terms of just that connection and understanding. So it's not just listening to a voice, but it's really observing their facial expressions and how they're behaving. That really helps.
100%. If they're yawning, it's probably not good.
That's right. Or making a face.
Exactly.
Rolling their eyes, right? Tell me a little bit about some success stories that you've seen with sales professionals starting to use video more.
Yeah, and I'll talk about this a little bit as we get further along, but there's really a couple different places in the sales process that are very, very good to use video. And it's the same thing when you call people or email them. We're not saying that video is the only thing you should be doing. Same thing with pieces on your homepage if you're a marketer. You're going to have different calls to actions on your homepage. You're going to have different types of content. And so video is just strictly another means to get in touch with someone to communicate that message. So we find some success with really personalizing not only the message, so what you're saying, but if you reach out to a company that sells plants, for example, and you have a plant in the office, use something that you have to further connect with that company. Because you think about, on average, it takes sales reps about 8 attempts to get in touch with someone. There's not a lead that says, hey, I want a demo. So you really want to make sure that, number one, you don't need to reach out to people 8 times. That's a lot of your time. But number two, making it as personalized as possible. You being in it is one of them. Same thing for videos that marketers will create. If you can have people in your company in these videos, sales reps talking about sales demos, product folks talking about product updates, it really brings further credibility to your product, to your company, and people really feel like they know you, even though they might not.
Yeah. You know, what comes to mind as you were describing that is most people, and maybe a lot of the folks in our audience today, when they think of a sales video, just the term sales video, they're thinking about a marketing video that is introducing the features and benefits of their company. And those are often professionally done and an investment is made in them. But that's not really what we're talking about here, is it?
That's not what we're talking about here, but a lot of the best practices will remain the same whether you have a marketing video or a sales video. For instance, at the end of a lot of my sales videos, I'll put my calendar link. There's a lot of cheap calendar tools out there, Calendly, Drift, HubSpot meetings. There's a million. And it's similar to a marketing video if you have, let's say you have a blog post, and at the end of the blog post, you have a white paper to complement whatever that content is. It's the same thing. At the end of the video, you want to have maybe a case study or maybe an opportunity to speak with sales. You always want to give someone an option to take a next step. If the video just loops back to the beginning or stops, the only option for them is to click out of it. If you put a call to action at the end, is everybody going to click it? Probably not, but at least you're saying, hey, here's what I recommend you do. Here, I'm giving you the opportunity. Some will, some won't, but at least some will.
Yeah, that's a great point. And I think the key term there is adding that call to action so that it does end up actually being a sales video potentially, or it's getting you that new lead or making that new connection. I want to clarify too, are we just talking about inside sales using sales video, or is it both inside and outside and it just has gotten very popular with inside?
It's definitely a mix. I think it's a lot more popular with inside because it's much less personal. You're oftentimes not meeting these people, but outside will use it in different stages than inside will. For instance, we're seeing a lot of success. We're an inside sales team. We're seeing a lot of success in attempt number 2. Whereas in outside sales, you might have the meeting, you're in person, but maybe you send a video to follow up what you went over and what you learned, or maybe you send a video that includes pricing. You're going to use it in different ways. Doesn't mean you're not going to use it in one and use it in another. You're just going to use it a little bit differently.
That's great. So we're going to actually dive into what you would consider the top 3 ways to incorporate video into the sales process. And we'll just kind of think of it as whether you're an inside or outside, you can use these, but take your existing sales process, whatever that might be, and figure out where can you incorporate it to make that connection and really differentiate yourself. So why don't you start with number one?
Exactly. So the first one is a video voicemail. And if we take a step back from this, you can think about in your sales process, in my sales process, where is the point that I'm finding the most struggles? Is it after the demo, people go dark? Is it I'm not making enough attempts to get people on the phone in the first place? So I think that's the first thing to identify is where am I actually struggling? And then you can translate this video voicemail into, okay, maybe I'll send it on attempt number 2 after I initially follow up. I'll send a quick, hey, this is Katie. Here's the reason I'm reaching out. Here's an opportunity. Would love to connect. Or maybe your video voicemail is, hey, we had this great demo. Here's what we went over. I know you mentioned you're meeting with your team on Tuesday. If there's anything else I can do to help out in that process, let me know. So a video voicemail is simply another option. Instead of giving them a call, instead of sending an email saying just checking in, it's another touch point basically. Should be about 30 seconds, but a very quick, another way to say hey.
Are you finding that people are apprehensive to do that because they think it might be annoying, or it's so different that instead of using it as a tool to really differentiate and be unique, that they're shy away from that because it's weird or different?
100%. The number one struggle, this is both a sales and marketing struggle, is how do I create the video? How do I get comfortable doing it? And I went through the same thing. Every single rep, I bet you, went through the same thing. Krista, you might have gone through the same thing too when you were thinking about, hey, I'm going to do a show.
That's right.
It's very scary, but it's kind of like, especially for salespeople, you think about you did call reviews. You might have done this with your team back in the day. No one wants to hear their voice. Even when you listen to a voicemail that you left, you're like, oh gosh, I sound awful. But that's not going to make me stop calling people, even your friends. Just because you get a voicemail doesn't mean you're going to stop leaving them. It's the same thing with video. It's going to be awkward in the beginning, but the more you do it, the better it's going to work.
Are you suggesting that you actually record your video and rewatch it and see how it sounds, or maybe share it with other people and get some feedback?
Definitely would recommend getting feedback. I know I took a public speaking course back a couple years ago, and that was actually super helpful. And I think back on it, it was terrible to watch yourself, but that was the way I learned not to say so many, so's or likes or or things that are just very basic, good things to know. But 100% would totally agree with that.
Yeah, and I have to say this because it's not easy. I mean, we both are on video right now, and I did choose a live format for the show because of the fun of it, and I wanted it to be real authentic and not just all pre-recorded. But it is scary at times, and I have guests that are like, "What do you mean it's live? I don't want to be live. What if I make a mistake?" And it's about being human, though, don't you think? And that's kind of the whole essence of it.
That's exactly the point. If I went out to lunch with you, you would be seeing the same form of me that you're seeing now. So why is video any different?
That's so true. What would be number 2?
Number 2 is what we call the video signature. So these were actually filmed for us. This is our video studio. I don't know if you can see behind me, but every time I think of a video studio, I'm like, oh, it must be this really big room that's really intimidating. It's not. It's just a normal room. But these are great to keep in your email signature, where you would keep your phone number, whatever else you have in there. This is a way for you, like the video voicemail, should be pretty quick, 30 seconds. Hey, I'm Katie. Here are 3 things I love to do. People can watch this if they want to before you have a call, just so they know a little bit more about you. Again, so you don't have to talk about the weather. Maybe they saw that I played tennis or something, and we can talk about their love or hate for tennis. That's one use for the video signature. And then the second one too, if you have any SDR to AE handoffs, so anyone saying, hey, you're going to have a call with Katie, it's helpful to put my email signature, for instance, in that intro email. So they know, okay, Katie's who I'm going to be speaking with. This is what she looks like. This is what she likes to do. So that handoff process isn't so awkward, and you're going from someone you know to someone you kind of know as well.
Yeah, I really like that idea. And just to clarify, maybe for some that aren't sure what we're talking about when we're referring to signature. So think about at the end of your email where you have your name and your contact information, and that's considered your signature. Incorporating a video that is telling the audience who clicks on it a little bit more about you, both personally and professionally. Is that correct?
100% correct. Yep. If you've run a marathon, you can bring a marathon bib in and say, hey, I ran the Boston Marathon, or hey, I love to drink coffee, or whatever it may be, something that you're comfortable talking about.
Yeah, something fun.
Exactly.
Yeah. So are you suggesting this whole idea of having a studio to make these videos, or how can we make this comfortable and simple for the average Joe?
I'm glad you asked. So for the average Joe, most of them, especially video voicemails, we're recording these at our desks. We're in sales. People hopefully know that we have desks in an office unless you're remote, but it's no secret that I'm probably at a desk reaching out to you. So for those, it's fine to be at your desk, have your headset on. I think that makes it more authentic. So by all means, those should be quick, done at your desk or wherever you're comfortable. For these that we're talking about, these video signatures, typically these are going to be seen by a lot more people and are recorded in a way that's not, hey, Bob, I'm reaching out to you personally. This is, hey, I'm Katie. This is meant to be seen by whoever wants to click on it. So for these in particular here at Wistia, we did record them in this studio here. And Krista, you have a studio as well, and it's very similar. It has the gray background. You have a light, you have a camera. So by no means does this need to cost, $1,000 to do. You can do it pretty inexpensively and make it look pretty legitimate.
Yeah, I think that that's important to say. So for us as an example, when we started out, we didn't know what we were doing, and we had a really bad backdrop. Our audio was poor, but we still had a lot of people tuning in and listening. But we watched back, we tried to improve not only on the quality of the video, but just the quality of the interview. And we did hire a consultant to come and to look at the room. We wanted to pick one space that I felt that when I wanted to record, I could just go in and sit down and record. And that is really the environment that I was looking for. So that's why we built the studio. But you're right, the color was a recommendation, the lighting that we have, and also the good audio. So I would recommend, if it is something that you're really going to get into and spend a lot of time creating, putting a little studio together is probably a good idea.
And even so, you can have some best practices of the videos at your desk. For instance, if you have the video, like the computer up a bit, you don't want to be, hey, this is my double chin. You want to have it up a bit. That's easy to do. You don't want to have a window behind you. You want that light on you. And clear audio is something you could even do with your headset. So there's ways that you can do it very at your desky that you don't have to spend money on, but are just some good best practices to keep in mind, whether you're doing a video voicemail or a video signature.
Yeah, and that includes pulling out your phone or using your iPad or doing a recording like we are recording this in kind of GoToWebinar or something like Zoom, and Wistia as well. And there's lots of technology. I definitely want to touch upon technology before we're done. What would you say is the third way to use video in the sales process?
The third way for us that's been very successful is what we call the quick demo. For us, we can speak to people in all different parts of the world. Australia is a great example. We're in Boston. The time difference is pretty significant. So you could even say, hey, I know, before I make you wake up at 7 a.m., I'm going to give you a glimpse of what I was hoping to cover. If you think that's relevant, you think it makes sense to have a call, awesome. If not, definitely don't want to waste your time, but wanted to make sure we were all on the same page. Doing a quick software overview, whether it's a presentation, whatever you want to show them, you can just send a quick video. These are going to be a bit longer than the 30 seconds, probably more than minute and a half mark. You don't want to get too much longer than that. But a great way to say, hey, here's what I was hoping to cover. Does it make sense? If so, awesome. If not, no worries.
Yeah, I feel like I need to also make an observation, which is I've seen a lot of demos or training video that is very generic, very one take. So what if I said a word wrong? It's so different compared to building, training webinars or videos maybe 5-10 years ago. I think it's acceptable that there's going to be, mistakes, or it doesn't have to be professional. How do you feel about that?
I love that. I think social media has made this a possibility, and it's a good thing for a lot of people. If you think about Facebook, it has a story platform. Instagram has that story platform. Snapchat. These are very low quality videos that are very easy to take. And yes, sometimes they're annoying. Yes, sometimes you're like, well, I don't want to watch your, Instagram story that's a million years long. But it's made it really easy for businesses to do very good looking videos, again, by not spending a ton of money. And the barrier for doing it is very low because a lot of people have taken a selfie before, have been in videos before, if it's on their social media. So I actually think it's been a really good thing for the video industry.
Yeah, I also feel that salespeople might be having a hard time distinguishing between, well, is that a salesperson's role really, or is that marketing? And what would you say to a sales rep that is kind of on the fence and really kind of feels that they have more of a radio face instead of a video face?
Well, marketing needs sales and sales needs marketing. So you really turn into something called smarketing. And at the end of the day, it's not about you. It's about delighting your customer or delighting your prospect. And if your prospect doesn't feel like they have a good connection with you, you're never going to win that deal. It doesn't matter if you have the best software on the planet. If they don't feel like they can trust you, if they don't feel like they have a good relationship with you, you do not have a chance. So this has to come through in both your brand, whether that's the marketing videos, whether that's the sales videos, but it is really a critical part of sales these days. And especially with a lot of people making purchasing decisions really before they even speak with sales folks, if your marketing job does a great job with branding and then you mess it up in sales, that's not great. So you really have to be one and the same with your marketing team. Sales has to, really be in touch with your marketing team to be on the same page. And if you're not transparent with your buyer, they're going to feel that right away, and it's not going to be good.
Yeah, I'm glad you used the term smarketing. It's something that we use frequently, and I always use the analogy of, you won't remember this because you probably weren't born yet, but there was a commercial where someone was walking down the street with a jar of peanut butter, and somebody else was walking down the street with a candy bar, and they bumped into each other, and then voila, Reese's cup was formed, right? So the whole thought there is sales alone or marketing alone are great, but when you can combine them, it's even better. Yeah. So we encourage all of our sales professionals to be thinking as themselves as marketers. So I appreciate that. And I think video is almost what can really cross that line and make the difference. I'd like you to share with us maybe a success story that you've had personally using video to help with a sale.
Sure. And every time we get a successful response in video, I think if you're especially having a hard time adopting it or selling it internally, it's really important to share those successes, whether you use Slack, whether you use email. It's really important for other people to see, hey, this is working for me. We're on the same team. You should be doing it too. So I think number one, that's critical to share with others what's working and how it's working. Mm-hmm. But number two, going back to what I said earlier, I reached out to a company that had panda involved in the name. And we just so happened to have a panda head lying around the office, which probably isn't common for a lot of office environments. But I looked like a complete ridiculous human. My hair was static electricity to the ceiling. But I wore a panda head when I reached out to them. And they ended up buying, and that video was watched like 63 times, which is amazing, made me feel really good. And to them, even if they see the thumbnail, which is what they'd see when they initially open the video, they see a panda head. I hope they're more likely to click on it because it is personalized. So that for me was ridiculous, but was fun.
It's a great story, and I think that's important to get creative around it in terms of, and I love what you said about it's not about you, it's about the customer and meeting the customer's needs and connecting with them, right, on their terms, on their level. And so by you being creative on the panda head, they probably shared that all around the office, right? That's where you got the 60 people viewing it. And it had to have helped in that sales process. Absolutely. And you closed the deal, right?
I did.
There you go. Anything else you feel that salespeople need to know as far as videos go to produce them well or to get comfortable with them?
I think like anything, practice makes perfect. And going back to what you said earlier, Krista, it's okay if you mess up. If you're out to lunch with someone, you're probably going to mess up. If you eat a salad, maybe you drop a piece of lettuce. That is very normal. Humans make mistakes, and that shouldn't be a reason where you don't want to do video because you think it's going to take you 10 minutes to record it. It's okay if you mess up. It again brings that human element back to things. So I can't stress enough that, like anything, it takes reps, it takes practice. But even like phone calls, I'm sure if any sales rep started out, they were scared to make phone calls, but you just have to make them because you know that your job is in part to dial the phone. So most importantly, number one, don't be nervous. Just get in front of the camera and do it. Shake it out if you need to. Listen to some pump up music. Nothing is too ridiculous. And don't be afraid to send them out, but I would be pretty strategic in your process where you're sending them. If you're seeing they're not working in attempt number 1, which is something that we saw, try attempt number 2.
Mm-hmm.
Try different parts of the process. Don't give up too soon.
Yeah, and I almost feel that companies really need to adopt this being integrated, right? And take maybe your best salesperson or the one that's the most comfortable with producing them or doing them, get it scripted even, do some takes and try it out, see if it works. And then maybe once they see the successes, other people can slowly start adopting it.
100%. Get one of the best, couple best reps, adopt it, doing it, share those successes. And salespeople are very competitive, so I guarantee you more people are going to be want to do what's working.
Tell us a little bit more about the technology in general, and maybe get us more clear on what Wistia does, but other companies like Wistia, as well as what technology to use to produce.
Totally. So there's a bunch of tools out there. Most of them are Chrome extensions, which are pretty easy, that allow you to record your face and your screen at the same time. Wistia has one called Soapbox. There's a free version, but really what you should be doing is you shouldn't be doing what a video producer would be doing. You don't need wild tools. You don't need even iMovie, QuickTime. You don't need to do things like that. You need a quick tool that's going to integrate with what you're already doing. So there's a lot of Chrome extensions out there that you don't have to pay for, at least initially, and will allow you to get some reps in, allow you to send those videos out in email, and allow you to see if it's actually a strategy that you're going to continue to do, which I'm biased, but would definitely recommend, especially going from a process where I did not use video at all to clearly using a lot of videos, but my numbers have definitely showed it.
All right, so novice question, what is a Chrome extension?
Good question. I'm glad you asked. So Chrome is an internet browser. So you can have a lot of different Chrome. That Chrome. Titanium, no.
So it only works within Chrome, not another browser. Is that what you're saying? Okay.
Correct.
What would be some examples again of names of extensions?
Soapbox is one, Loom is another one, BombBomb is another one. There's some wild names out there, but if you Google sales video tools, I guarantee you're going to get a ton of results and have plenty to choose from.
Yeah, and I did check out Soapbox, which is really pretty cool. So, and you can download it into an app and just easy to work with.
Exactly. For sales reps, the easier the better.
That's right. They don't want to be spending their selling time trying to be perfect on video.
You got that.
Wanted to make sure it was okay that we share your contact information. If anybody wants to reach out to you or to your company or are curious about how they can incorporate video into the sales process, is it okay if we share some of that on the screen?
Please do. Yes. Feel free to contact me anytime. Email and LinkedIn is where I'm most active. Love LinkedIn videos. And I'm Katie Morrissey on LinkedIn as well. And you can find me through Wistia or email or whatever works best for you. But I love to talk about anything and all things video. So please bombard me.
That sounds great. And I do have one more question for you because we have a few minutes. When you and I first met, which I loved interviewing my guests previously to kind of qualify them for the show, you know I'm passionate about what people are doing when they were 10 or metaphorically around that age, believing that that's who they are at their core and where their talents are. And later in life, it's great to be able to discover that and pull it out and do more of that in your day-to-day life. When I asked you what you were doing when you were 10, after thinking about it for a little bit, what did you tell me?
I was doing video. I mean, we didn't have iPhones then, so it was a lot different, but I was doing video. I was recording things in our backyard. It's kind of wild to think back because I never thought I would work at a video company, but it is kind of crazy. Even when I studied abroad, I created a video thanking my parents for, the opportunity and recorded myself in all these different places. So I hope you realize that the more you think about it, the more you've been doing video, even if you've had video of yourselves when you were little in home videos. It's really something where I think a lot of us do it and we don't really realize it. So hopefully we can put it to good use in the work world.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you very much for sharing that story. I appreciate it. And thank you for joining us and sharing your expertise. I'm hopeful that our audience really learned some things. And it's almost to me like the golden ticket. If they're not hearing this as the new way to differentiate and close deals and add something fresh into their sales process, they're almost going to miss the boat. So I'm hopeful that there is a call to action and a sense of urgency about making it, just a part of what they're going to be doing differently.
Agreed. Let's cross our fingers.
Yeah, let's hope so. And so now we'll start getting messages with these video signatures from people. I hope to hear that.
Honestly, that's what I want. I want to see as many as possible.
Well, I'm going to get mine done here shortly.
You have the background for it. I love it.
That's great. Thanks again, Katie.
Take
care.
Krista.
All right.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Wasn't that fun? I really enjoyed interviewing Katie Morrissey from Wistia and really learning myself more about how to incorporate video into your day-to-day sales process. So hopefully you enjoyed it as well. Now, if you are someone who has always wanted to be an entrepreneur, or maybe your own boss, or you've got this side gig that you're wanting to turn into a real business, then you definitely want to tune in to next week's show. Well, I'll be interviewing Dr. Courtney Baker, and she's going to share her story of getting pregnant at 16 in high school to actually being awarded in one of the most recognized female entrepreneurs in the state of Texas. And she just has a wonderful success story. But more importantly, she'll be able to teach us how to make that move, how to get the confidence that you might need to follow your dreams and be your own boss and your own entrepreneur. So tune in. A couple other things I wanted to mention. Once you register for the Krista Moore Show this year, you have access to it throughout the year. You don't have to re-register. We want to make it easier for you. And also, if you want to listen to past recordings, just go to thekristamooreshow.com and you can watch any of the past recordings from there or listen to them in your drive time or in your car. Thanks again for joining us, and join us next week as we bring to you industry experts and thought leaders to help you succeed. Thanks.